American Hammers TV, we have a special episode today. First of all, I'd like to mention real quick our sponsor, Strava Craft Coffee. I drink this stuff, as always, every single episode. As you can tell, it doesn't matter if it's in the morning, noon, or night. I'm always drinking it because it's organically infused with CBD oil, so it counterbalances the
come on,
caffeine.
admit it, Tim. It's chemically infused,
There's
mate.
chemicals, man.
Mine's chemically infused with bloody Jack Daniels. That's for definite.
There's marijuana in it. No, it's not marijuana oil. It's CBD oil, okay? So it counterbalances the caffeine, which is fantastic. There's a 15% off coupon in the link in the description below. So that said, we have Mr. Wayne from Dallas, Texas on the show today.
Hello. Yeah, from East Texas, isn't I?
But our special guest is Gonzo from Hammers Chat. I think everybody knows who he is, especially if you're watching anything West Ham related on YouTube. You must also watch Hammers Chat. So you must know Gonzo. What's happening, Gonzo?
Yeah, I'm just sort of tucking into my Strava Craft coffee. I'm only joking. I just organically, chemically enhanced marijuana coffee. No, I'm joking. I'm sure it's lovely
that
stuff.
Looks like a nice strong cup of tea. I can see you can sand your spoon up in that from here, mate.
You can see it. I tell you what, mate, it's the only way to go. And yeah, I'm enjoying Wayne's Texan twang, certainly.
Well, I left England about 25 years ago now. And still, when I'm like talking with people over here, they're like, "Yeah, you definitely sound like you're from London." As soon as I get online with another Englishman, they're like, "Texas twang, bloody hell, it's awful." I need to get back home. I really do.
I'm sure you're probably okay up in Texas, to be fair.
Let's get a little bit of background about you, man. I mean, a lot of people watch you and listen to your insight, which it's really fun to watch you and Gio on Hammers Chat. They're really insightful stuff, which is really cool, and it's probably one of my, probably my personal favorite channel. But what about you, man? Where are you from? Like, where exactly? I know we all know Gio's from Scotland. You can hear that a mile away, even though some say he's from Northern Ireland. But that's another story. But yeah.
Well, I'm firstly. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you. I'm glad you said it's fun as well. That I like that. You got to listen. You guys are doing. You're doing YouTube. You've got into the world of YouTube, and you know what? You better either be informative or you better be entertaining, because that's what you're doing. YouTube is the new television. So if I'm glad, that's really good, because it's you know yourself, it's hard work, and you put your life and soul into it. So well done you fellas for cracking on and doing this. Certainly, you've got a very interesting journey ahead of you. Where am I from? I'm originally from a place called Ilford, which is 4 or 5 miles from Upton Park. So I guess Upton Park is technically still there, isn't it, in one form or another? So so that's where I'm from, hence the reason it's West Ham. There was never really any choice, really. It was the closest football club to us.
I used to date a bird from Ilford. Well done. She was Kirsten, my name was.
I think I dated her myself, Wayne, to be honest with you.
I think everybody did, to be quite honest. I used to travel all the way from southwest London to go see her.
Oh, really? Oh, she was a Charlton fan then, or so? Was she Wimbledon fan or something?
I think she was an everybody fan, unfortunately.
Hey, I tell you what, your podcast has taken a turn already.
So
that always is whenever I'm on.
I haven't had a talk with Charlie on the show anyway. We had Charlie on, but it was Wayne and my regular co-host Lee. They had a good chat with him, but I did get to speak with Gio and Mike Manera, and we kind of asked them about the story of how they got involved with Hammers Chat. But apparently it started all with a forum. Is that right?
It was indeed. So there were a number of us all chatting on a forum called Hammers Mad. And we'd been on there since about 2005, let's say. Been on there a good few years, and I'm very, very poor with dates and timing. My memory's pretty bad for that encyclopedic stuff. Yeah, well, you know how it is. But anyway, I had to. There came a point where we've been using this forum service for free, and you guys will know because you're over there in the States. You any connection with your football club. It is desperately needed, and you're desperate for any sort of news or anything like that. And obviously we've got all these things now. We've got podcasts, we've got YouTube. It's a lot easier now with the internet. But you've got to remember, back in 2003, 2005, whilst there was an internet, of course, we were on a forum, there wasn't this much stuff going on. So it was a really good place for fellow Hammers fans. And we've got fans from all around the world on there, by the way, just to chat all things West Ham together. We've been doing that for years, and then for free. And one day we went on, and they were demanding £20 to carry on, or you could carry on for free. But what would happen is adverts kept on jumping in front, so you couldn't even reply. So what happened was, you read there's a website called Knees Up Mother Brown. You know that website?
Yeah,
obviously?
definitely.
A few people. We were quite a tight community though, so we weren't a very particularly big website. There were, I would say, a couple of hundred regular posters. Obviously, Knees Up Mother Brown had thousands. It was suggested that maybe we go to Knees Up Mother Brown, but we all said, well, actually, it's too big. We'll all get lost and fragmented there. We wanted this community thing. I run a building business, and somebody that runs my website, we just had a chat, a friend of mine, and he said, I explained the problem. He said, why don't you build a website? I said, I can't build a website. He said, yeah, of course you can. He said, watch a YouTube tutorial and learn how to do it. So I did, and it was ghastly and it was horrible. And I went back onto the other website and just said, look, I'm trying to build one. So it'll be ready in a couple of weeks. And everybody said, well, can we come on now? I said, well, I don't know. What's not really ready? They said, what's not ready about it? Can you post and can you reply? I said, yes, but I didn't know what claret was, because there's a code for every color. So it was pink. I didn't have the correct blue. I mean, so it was basically pink and turquoise. I didn't even, I tried to, on Photoshop, do these crossed hammers. It was awful. It looked terrible. And everyone said, no, we'll just pile over now. And I had to give it a name, because I had to get a domain name. So Hammers Chat. And that's how it was born, basically.
That's awesome.
Blimey.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing that sort of starts off. And how many people do you reckon you now got regular on that chat?
Well, it says there's 4,000 members. Well, there are 4,000 members, but there's not 4,000 people chatting on there. That's for sure. There's probably, I would say, 40 to 50 regular posters on there, and each day, because obviously I've got the analytics there. Each day you probably have about 200 to 300 people looking in. But I mean, forums have taken a hit because of social media. You know, now social media provides a place for people to chat West Ham. The one niche we do have is it's hard on, number one, on Twitter, you can say your piece, but you've got to say it very quickly. Whereas on a forum, you can list out all your top 20 transfer targets and explain why. The other thing is, on the forum, you're going to get a reply. Whereas on Twitter, you know, you can find yourself saying I rate this player and nobody will reply to it, and of course you might get dogs abuse as well, of course. So listen, you can still get abused on Hammers Chat, but nicely, if you know what I mean. So I might say, oh, that's crap, but at least I'll go and explain why they think your choice of left back is crap. So it's a little bit more community based.
You're talking about analytics and stuff like that. I mean, do you have any idea how many videos you've done?
No.
No?
Not 1,000. Not 1,000.
But out of all of them, like, what was your favorite experience you've actually had to do? Like, especially not just your video inside your cupboard, as Gio calls it, but the like outside videos, like the on location videos. What was your favorite experience?
Well, the one that sort of gave us our big leg up, if you want, was when we knew we were moving from Upton Park to Stratford. I did a vlog, which was just basically showing the journey, basically showing how you get from one place to the other. It went mad, and so we were in a position where we were getting very low 100 views, 100, 200 views, and all of a sudden this video got 70,000 views. Whoa, hold on a second. And it got noticed, and it's a long story, but eventually we got invited by the, actually, no, this was before we got invited by the club. Gio had come on board by this point. Gio had come on board before we started doing videos, and actually we wouldn't be doing videos if it wasn't for Gio, because Gio came and joined me on the forum and helped out, because Gio used to run a betting He's very, very good at his betting. He knows all his stuff. He knows he's well worth
we've
giving.
noticed that he always seems to be posting all the time about I've put an accumulator on this and I've put a fiver on that, and
yeah, he knows his stuff.
He's got a bit of a problem there, isn't he?
Well, it's only a problem if you're losing, and I don't think he loses too much. So yeah, he's definitely worth giving a follow to get his betting tips. So he approached me on Hammer's chat because he was a member on there. He was somebody, a regular contributor, and he said to me, can I have a betting page? So I needed all the help I could get on there. And then he did that, and then he just got so involved, and then he was just so good and so bloody useful, really. Then he was him. He said we should start doing videos. So all of that, all the drive to do that was all really him. But anyway, he contacted, which is a really cheeky thing to do. He contacted David Sullivan, and and got Sullivan to agree to let us, with no followers, and to go and do some pitch side stuff after a Stoke game. You could scroll down our videos. I'd rather you didn't, because we're all awful, and so we got to go into Upton Park and sit in a dugout and do a review. We reviewed a game in the dugout at Upton Park. It was absolutely amazing. So we'd done lots of different things, and we actually, for that last season at Upton Park, we had tremendous access by the club in there. So we've got loads of archive footage of Upton Park. We did quite a few videos from there, but that first one was really quite special because I've been there all my life, from my first ever game. When you go to your first ever football match, it's like the floodlights are on, the grass is so green, the players they look like gods, don't they? You're a kid, you think, wow, this is bloody amazing. So I'd looked at this hallowed turf all my life, and we got to report, and we got to do a video from pitch side,
because Gio and Charlie both refer to that match. They both
talked
about that. Yeah, they both
mentioned it
on the show. Yeah, and one of my favorites is the tour of the club shop at Olympic Stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. That definitely was.
Yeah, we used to do quite a lot.
You guys are having fun. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. I love to see the guys out of the.
Well, I think that's the one thing that comes across with whenever you two are on. It just seems a real good natural relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
It just comes across as banter between two mates, which is really good. It doesn't seem contrived or anything, does it, Tim?
No, not at all.
Well, I'd like to think a lot of this stuff we often say. So we might chat for 10, 15 minutes afterwards, and then we say, damn, we pressed stop recording, stop broadcasting probably 15 minutes too early, because we will go on and have a right laugh. But obviously, you've got to be mindful. We've always tried. I've got 4 children, so I'm always trying to be mindful of if at certain times we're recording, they're only the other side of that door. So I try not to swear too much. And obviously, what YouTube's like. If you're swearing a lot, it likes to sort of censor your videos and ban your videos and this, that, and the other. So maybe the swearing after we've pressed stop broadcast a bit much, but yeah, we do often have a laugh. And funny enough, he was just messaging me 10 minutes ago, and we're having a laugh about something. So yeah, you've got, look, this whole YouTube thing, and you've got to, or podcasts or whatever, you got to have characters on there. You've got to have relationships. Otherwise, when YouTube first started, anybody that had a webcam could produce content. And as YouTube's grown and grown and grown and grown and grown, actually people that used to be in television and stuff like that are now coming over and doing YouTube. So actually it's not just enough to have a webcam now. Now you better be having fun. You better be informative. You better know your stuff, or any one of them, because and to be fair, I'll be perfectly honest with you fellas, you've got a good rapport yourselves. I didn't know I was coming on until quite late today. So for the last hour, I've been clicking through and watching a lot of your videos and having a catch up. And I've seen, I've seen loads of stuff. And you've got good banter, and you're enjoying yourself. You've got to enjoy yourself. You've got to be relaxed, which is what you are. And then that will come across.
For the most part. So, there's been a few times where after the video, especially early on, after the interview, before we started doing, big name guests, we would just have the supporters groups. That's how this all started. It was just basically from the idea of we wanted to showcase the American supporters groups, and that was it. And then as we could only have 1 or 2 on at a time, we would invite the club back, but only have somebody else from the groups, and just that's all we would do. But then the idea came about having people like you, Gio, and Bubbles, Paul Colborne, or Dave Walker, or so on. Baz we've had on. That wasn't even part of the plan when we started. But what I was getting at was in the beginning, we'd have somebody on, we'd do an interview, and then I was just feeling flat. I wasn't having a good, not that I wasn't having a good time with the interview. It's just I didn't feel like it was right. And afterward, we'd look at the views and the numbers, and I'm like, holy shit, that's one of our better episodes. People actually really enjoyed that one. I can't really tell, but for the most part, everybody that we've had on has been a character. Every West Ham fan I've met so far is unique. I mean, everybody's different for the most part that we've had on our show. And we can't really tell sometimes with our guests. We can only tell with who we're having on as a co-host. Like Wayne is a recurring guest host because
yeah, I'm like a bad case of hemorrhoids. That's what I'm like, really.
He's like, because he's my job lets me do it whenever, these shows for the most part, and not so much anymore. But Lee's regular job, he can't do all the episodes, so I have Wayne pop in, or I've had other people like John from WHU TV on before, and we can never tell what the guest is going to be like until afterward. And then, like you were mentioning, the time after the show stops recording is the best 15 minutes of the show. Always. It really is, because everybody's like relaxed now. The recording stopped and everybody just banters, and it's the best shit all the time.
Well, I think when you first start doing it, you're a little bit worried about how you might be perceived and how you might come across. And the more you do it, the more relaxed you become. And actually, that's when you're at your best anyway, because people see the real you. And when people see the real you, they warm to that. People are generally nice, so they'll, if they think they can get an insight into you, and they'll, everyone will have their favorites as well. You're going to, naturally, you're going to gravitate towards somebody more than the others. But that's good as well, because if everyone's got favorites, then you've got variety on your channel, and if you've got variety on your channel, people are going to tune in. And if people are not thinking it's rigid, because that's what you don't want to be, is sort of rigid. And I mean, the other thing that we've sort of stuck to, myself and Gio discussed very, very early, is not to kick a video out just because we need to get a video out, or we should get a video out. International break is a really good example. There's what should we say, the inclination in international week, because it's such a dead period, is to go, okay, we'll carry on doing videos, lots of videos. But if what you're going to do is rehash something you've already spoken about, or just take a subject that you're not very passionate about, it's going to be hard for you to inject your own personality into it, because if you are being yourself, people are going to tell that you don't really care. So that way, so when you do rant and you are annoyed, that will come across, that's real, it's doing that. Actually, when you are laughing, you do find it funny. And you know what, if you're struggling for a story and all you've got to do is do a video because Karen Brady said something in a newspaper column, don't bother. It ain't worth doing the video. There's not enough content there to keep you interested. And if you're not interested, your audience ain't going to be engaged. So you want juicy. That's why at a cup of tea, the questions are good, because we're answering questions from other people. So we know we're discussing what other people are interested in.
Exactly.
And if it's a surprise as well, which Jill always knows the questions, I don't. That's why I switched the chat off. So I'm just trying to give a natural reaction to stuff, and I try not to watch the news or anything that day.
That's what happened. I thought that, especially in the beginning, the reason why we did start adding different type of guests instead of just the supporters groups, I felt that after a while it was going to get monotonous. But at the same time, that is our backbone. That is why we started. So we want to always have weekly videos with supporters groups from America to showcase them. And it's always somebody different for the most part, unless there was a video where the video fucked up. Right. And then we needed to invite them back so that we could have a better chance, because either my internet crapped out, or
which happens occasionally.
Yeah.
It's happened a couple of times already. So Arizona, I mean, the most recent interview that we did before this one, God almighty, nothing against them. They were fantastic. We had a great time. I tried something new and it fucking backfired. Absolutely, right in my face. I'm like, shit. I finally got Skype to work live. Looks great. Awesome. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, 10 minutes in, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. And I'm like, holy shit, thank God.
I was sitting at home watching it, and I was peeing my pants.
I was so pissed off, and I'm like, I'm not going to stop and just say stop.
I could see Tim's face. I could see Tim's face. It was hilarious.
We switched over to Hangouts, and then fucking my Hangouts, I couldn't get my camera work. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then because they were in a pub, all the background noise. You know how Hangouts is. When someone's talking, they go to the forefront. Even though they weren't talking, there was a band doing sound check in the background, and the fucking pub. So Lee was trying to talk, and he's like, I'm like, what's he saying? I'm like this. So anyway, other than that, I mean, I would invite, the same people back like that. But for the most part, what we're trying to do is always have something different. Even though we're putting up a lot of videos, and we're, that was my worry. Lee's more relaxed about, hey, let's not put out too much content. I'm like, no, let's go, let's get out there. Not enough people know about us yet. That's me. But anyway, at least every single thing that we're doing, it's somebody different. It's a different interview. There's different things we're talking about. Even though it's similar, there's always something different.
Well, I think, I mean, you've got to keep it fresh, which you clearly are doing by having different people on. You're in a good place there because you're dealing with, I mean, just America's such a large place anyway, and you have got different, you get someone on from Boston or so, crikey, there's no way you're going to link up and meet up and do a video. It's going to have to be over the internet. So by and large, the internet's going to do a lot of your production for you, which is good. I mean, we've got a whole other layer of stuff there, which is why we've got so much kit behind this sheet behind me. There are cables, wires. I've got so many different microphones and cameras, which we've just bought since we started doing this. And funny enough, we're meeting up next month to do a load of videos. We'll meet up for the day and we'll do 6 or 7 videos all in the day. We're going to meet up in Stratford. We have a good day of it and we'll enjoy ourselves, have a few drinks and make loads of videos. But the gear has got to be good. You can't come away from somewhere thinking, I didn't quite capture the sound or I didn't quite capture the image. So you've got to double up on your sound. You've got to, I mean, it's crazy listening to myself say this, and because as you know, with your own journey 4 or 5 years ago, to think that I would be talking about how I have to double up on my sound equipment sounds bizarre. Why would I even say such a phrase? I wouldn't even know anything about it. But you've got to, there's some technical issues that you've got to get around when you do this sort of stuff. But I see so many. I see. It's a hard slog. A lot of people do this thing and they fall by the wayside. So you've got to look at West Ham Fan TV. They're still going. They keep churning it out, and it's hard work. It's hard work. You've got family commitments and stuff like that, and it's things have to take a back burner sometimes. So you've got to really try and balance it up. You need an understanding family. It eats into your personal time. So a lot of people, understandably so, in terms of, I guess, all football media, fall by the wayside because we've all got a job to do and we've all got other stuff. To do. So it's I don't even know. I'm just rambling now. But you know what? You've just got an interesting journey ahead of you, and that's what I was going to say. I've seen a lot of people just go technical, so they'll think, we've got to be massively graphic. The graphics have got to be good and all this stuff. And actually, it doesn't really get you anything. In the long run, it's your content. People need to be able to see you. People need to hear you, and then it's up to you. So
you've got to connect.
Yeah,
you've got to connect with people.
Yeah,
you've got to sound genuine because I mean the one thing I think today with social media and everything is people sniff when you're not being true. They really do. They sniff it out, and they'll call you out on it because it doesn't take anything to call you a tosspot from a Twitter feed.
Well, that's that's a tosspot is a compliment on Twitter.
Oh, seriously, isn't it? Well, I'm trying to like calm it down a little bit so we don't get the old FCC coming after us. But speaking of tosspots, I want to go back to your early years of watching West Ham. I mean, you said that you've been watching for donkey years. Well, do you remember your first West Ham memory?
I do remember my first West Ham memory, and I knew you'd ask it, so I've got the program ready.
Blimey!
Oh, prepared.
This is my first ever game.
Oh my God!
West Ham versus Bury in the League Cup. It was called the Milk Cup back then, and my first ever game, we won 10-0.
Get out! What?
That's so funny.
It cracks me up when I hear people say stuff.
I know, me too. What's funny is that a lot of the people that we had on, their first game was a blowout.
I'm just going to show you something here because there'll be a lot of people who will recognise this beautiful car.
Holy!
Look at that.
Hold it up again.
Can you see it? Can you see it there? It's a Ford Sierra.
Oh my God, a Ford Sierra.
I want that on my car. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I
Neil
love this.
Orr. There's Neil Orr in his very short shorts. Neil, very short shorts.
Blimey. Well, I used to wear those when I played football as a kid. I mean, I'm aging myself now, aren't I? Sure, I used to wear shorts like that as a kid going to school. Blimey.
There you go. So yeah, it's that was really something.
10-0 over Barry. That's
Yeah,
funny.
there you go.
Celebration?
Behind the scenes there, a clerk of works. There's John Lyle there, Alvin Martin. So yeah, my first ever game, 10-0. My second game, I think we played Charlton, and my because it was my stepfather who is the reason I became a Harry. He's basically been my father all my life. And I remember saying he always tells a story of my second game against Charlton because I thought we'd win 10-0 again. I was saying to him, "Are we going to score yet, Dad? Are we going to score yet, Dad? When are we going to score? When are we going to?" We didn't score, I don't think.
Oh.
See, my first game wasn't a blowout. It was a 2-1 win against Chelsea, and it was Clyde Best that scored. But I mean, I'm going back to like donkeys years ago. So I think I'm the ancient one in this group at 55.
Which is rare for me to be a spring chicken on a.
Well, you know what,
on a
Chris said?
video.
I think that's why Tim called me in here. He says, he felt sorry for you always being the old man of the group.
That's kind. That's kind.
But
oh man,
so who was your hero growing up then? So who were your heroes when you were growing up?
Oh, I loved Phil Parks.
Yeah.
It was the first autograph I ever got. People don't really get autographs anymore. I get selfies, don't they? Of course now, which selfies are probably better than autographs, to be fair. It was the first autograph that I ever got, and I was tiny. I'm not a big fella now, but I was tiny as a kid, and he was just so big, such a huge man. I remember being in awe. Not that I ever was a goalkeeper, but yeah, I remember Phil Parks, and of course, you'd always get to see him for a whole half because I'd be in the old North Bank.
Yeah.
So we'd be right behind the goalkeeper, So yeah, just watching in awe of him. I used to really like Alan Devonshire, but then there was other ones I used to really like. It was just a bit of a. Was George Paris, who wasn't really a particularly special player, but I loved George Paris. I remember wanting to be George Paris. So, but yeah, I never did become George Paris.
Was there any particular position that you always favoured, like watching at all? I've always had this thing for bruisers of midfielders, like your Dixies, like I like people that go out there and will just stamp their authority on people.
Yes, I know what you mean. I do like that as well. I've always liked wingers though. I do like fast wingers. I like crossing. I was having this conversation the other day. I quite like fast football. All that, all that Barcelona stuff, Puyol to Xavi to Iniesta, back to Xavi, back to Iniesta, back to Puyol, back. All that, Barcelona have had the ball for 2 minutes. So whoopee do. Sorry, I'd just woken up. No. Get down, and I don't mean hoofball. I don't mean the goalkeeper to hoof it, but I mean to the fullback, to the wingers, fast. Now, if you can get into their box in about 4 or 5 moves, 4 or 5 passes. I've always liked that. In many respects, the sort of football that Jurgen Klopp plays. Actually, I really like those balls whipped in and getting wide, and I like that. I like that. So yeah. So Mark Ward, funny enough, I used to like Mark Ward. Stuart Slater when he came through. Alan Devonshire was the first real wizard that I ever saw. But I did love Brookin in the middle, and obviously I'm mindful now. I'm talking about these players. And people just know them now. There's such a young generation that there's people that are on banners because the footage. We're lucky now. We're lucky now. If you want to ever see how good Dimitri Payet was in 20 years' time, well, all his goals are in HD.
Yeah.
You'll be able to watch all his stuff in real high quality. You watch any sort of archived footage from the 80s, and particularly on modern tellies, it looks awful. Because everyone's got such everyone's got a telly the size of a cinema now, haven't they? Let's be fair. My lounge is mostly plasma. So whereas my old telly was about that big, and the old footage. So that I'm saying the young fans growing up now, they're just names, iconic names, Trevor Brookin, Billy Bonds, people like this. But so to see him play was something special.
I'm technically a younger fan, I guess you'd say. So
how old are you, Tim? You mind asking?
I'm 39, but I didn't start following West Ham until 2008. So
yeah, why? I'm sure you've said it 1,000 times on this channel, but just for me,
the logo and the uniforms, the colors, the irons, the hammers, the thought of just the castle with the hammers, man. I mean, it just that stuck out to me. So I was playing, Championship Manager, Football Manager, all those games back then, and I always picked the team, and I would always pick West Ham because I love their logo, and that's how I started. And I would win with them, and then I did history, and I looked at my family history, people from Romford, in my family, like
really,
on my mother's side. Oh yeah, so deep down on my mother's side is they're from Romford. So that to me was like, okay, well, that's a connection to me. So I became obsessed. I started doing the history. I started looking at the history. I started watching as many YouTube videos as I possibly could, and learning as much as I could about the club. But anyway, since I'm a newer fan, you say, and defenders for me are my thing. I mean, I love just a beast of a defender who can score goals, who can smash a header, who can always be at the right place at the right time. And for me, that was James Tompkins. He's my all-time favorite West Ham player, and people call me fucking bananas about that.
I cried when they got rid of him.
Yeah, my absolute favorite Hammer of all time.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. I don't think I've ever said this before. When I said that last access we had if you look at some of my earlier vlogs, you'll see that I'm actually pitch side. Some of the first vlogs we do, and the last season up to park, you'll see I'm pitch side. I'm literally right next to the players. We had lovely access for that last season. So I wish we did any more. We've fallen foul of the club in some way, shape, or form. But James Tompkins was the one player every time used to say hello to me. He was the friendliest guy there. I really liked him. He was a really really nice guy. Mrs. Gonzo fancied him as well, so I didn't want to get too pally. With him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but seriously, I mean, I was looking at this year. I mean, people were talking about, when Reed comes back, do we not get rid of him? Let's keep him because he was the last goal at the Bowl Inn and blah 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 blah. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna check his stats. I'm gonna check out Barna's stats. Ever since he left the club. James Tompkins left the club. I'm like, look at all the defenders and look at all their stats, the games, appearances, yellow cards, goals scored, everything. And James Tompkins, obviously at Palace, but still, it's not the point. The point is, if we had kept him, we would have had that out of him, even though he left because he wasn't getting the first team football. I mean, I'm sorry, the minutes that he wanted and so on. I get that, but that's
Tim
to me
doesn't forgive very easily.
Billich's fault to me. So anyway, but that I so upset with Billich about that. But anyway, never should let him go. He should. And Mark Noble should have put his foot down and said, listen, I'm the fucking leader of this team, and I want him to stay. Like, we can't get rid of James Tompkins. And no, everybody just let him go. I'm bullshit about that. In his stats, he scored like 5 goals a year, pretty much. That was his average, was 5 goals a year. Now, Winston Reed didn't even freaking play half the time. And then, even James Collins and Angelo Ogbonna, I mean, yeah, they have, a couple of goals and a lot of yellows and so on, and not as many appearances. And I'm like, we missed out on something there. So anyway, I haven't ranted about Mr. Tompkins in a while in many episodes, so this is my chance to do it again. So
let it out, man. Let it out.
It's been at least one episode since he's ranted about Tompkins. At least one.
No, it's been like 5. It's too many. 5. That's the number 2, man.
So one episode.
Anyway.
So what about this squad this year, Gonzo? I mean, who do you think has really stuck out to you as being something incredible?
Well, the goalkeeper is as good as any goalkeeper. I think when you get into the ridiculous money that Chelsea and Liverpool have paid, I don't think Man City's keeper was cheap either. Then they have a level of distribution beyond that. But actually, in terms of catching the ball, which is what a goalkeeper, his first primary job is, he's as good as anyone. Declan Rice has been absolutely tremendous.
Absolutely.
He's you could just see he's a leader. I don't know how long he'll be with us, but he gets it. He gets West Ham, and some of them do. They don't necessarily have to be West Ham. I mean, Ginger's another one. Ginger's a Welshman, but he got West Ham.
He totally got it, didn't he?
Yeah, it became a Cockney. And even though Declan came from Chelsea's academy, and I would imagine he's never said it, but I'd imagine knowing where he and his family live, which is sort of near Wimbledon, Kingston. I know that my sister lives up there. It's a big Chelsea area. I'd imagine he was probably a Chelsea fan growing up, but he gets West Ham, and it's become West Ham.
I'm from Wimbledon. Crossed down since I could crawl.
Well, my sister lives in Rains Park, which is just around the corner. So, Yeah, so I don't know, but anyway, he gets it, and
Yeah.
he totally understands West Ham. He understands the culture of the club, and I think he has been absolutely phenomenal. I love the way Antonio has come back as well.
Oh,
I
he's
think
been. I tell you, ever since the first time he run down that right wing, that first match he played for us back in 2015, I've had a man crush on him. I really have.
Well, I mean, we're learning a lot. We've got the James Tompkins and the Mikel Antonio. We're learning quite a lot, fellas. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's good. It's good to get these things out. But anyway, I think Noble finished really strongly, and I think bearing in mind it's his first season, Felipe Anderson. A lot of people moan about Felipe Anderson, but I noticed today he's been linked with Liverpool. I'll tell you what, we might moan about Felipe Anderson. You wait and you see some moaning if we sold him. Then we'd be moaning out. You know, so
well, the few times we played without him, we definitely missed him. Without a shadow of a doubt, we missed him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously if a guy comes from a league like that, like Serie A or even La Liga, they come over. There's going to be growing pains. Same thing with Diop. I mean, Diop didn't have the greatest season either. I mean, he had some piss poor games mixed in with some really fantastic performances because it's just a learning experience. You got to the Premier League. There's nothing like it, so it takes time. But real quick, I do need to mention what we like to do over on American Hammers TV is mention all of the people that were in the chat room. I know there's still time, but I like to get that done about halfway through or a little bit after.
I'd be shocked if Wally isn't in it.
Because there are some questions that for Gonzo. So all right, so we have Wally World's in here. Wally World, we're actually going to have him on June 9th, along with Gabe, who isn't here today, but he's almost here every single episode. His kid's 16 years old from Austin, Texas, and like he'll sneak out his lunch break at school to watch our videos when we have an early show usually. I mean, the kid's awesome. So we said we'll have him and also Wally. Ben Davis, Gary Smithhurst. Now, Gary Smithhurst, Ben Davis says, could you please ask Gonzo if he has seen the new kits for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I have seen something. I have seen something. Bit like the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I've seen something, but a lot of smoke and mirrors, and yeah, I did. I think, as I say, I'm not really on Twitter very much anymore, but I think I did tweet it out there, but only because number one, I think too much is made of the kits generally, and as I always say, well, it's going to be claret and it's going to be blue, but then when I was given this little snippet of information for the first time in many a season, I went, ooh. Interesting, nice, yeah. So I have seen a
So it has got chevrons on it then.
Well, I've yes, basically the snippet. What I saw, I'll come clean me up. I saw somebody saw it, and then they literally drew it for me, and I mean, this person is extremely.
I can't get over it.
No, it's extremely trustworthy. This person, everything they've ever told me has been spot on, and they are highly, highly connected. So, so they did a drawing for me, and I wouldn't want them to try and take a picture of it anyway. So, that was absolutely fine. They showed me it, and it did look remarkably like the 76 shirt, albeit without the collar. And not quite as triangulated, if you know what I mean, a bit straighter. So, but unless there's been some ruse and someone has been leaking, what do they call it? You know what I'm saying? Where they try and counter. What's the words?
Like
false intelligence to try and come out with something different. But from what I gather, it is like the 76, but not quite as pointy, and there's no collar. So so yes, from what I saw, which wasn't the original kit, it looked very, very nice. But my friend is terrible at drawing. So what I did, I went and I went on to Photoshop. So I'm slightly better at Photoshop than he is at drawing. And then I did it, and then I said to him, "Is that it?" He went, "Yeah, that's it."
Nice.
Gary Smithhurst asks, are the American Hammers going to be part of that 24-hour live stream? And well, Gio asked me if we'll be willing to do it, so I don't know much more than that. But
well, listen, we're relying on you because of your time zone. We're gonna we got a whole there's going to be
Yeah,
time.
we'll definitely do it. It's just, I don't know any more details, so we'll talk more
Yes.
about that. Yes,
Yes,
but
you are.
we will definitely
Yes, you are.
be available for that for sure.
Thank you so much.
Well, I
But
haven't heard
thank you
anything
guys
about
very
it,
much.
Tim.
Well, no, okay.
I'm gonna have to just blackmail him into
awkward.
doing it, Gonzo. That's all there is
Listen,
to it.
I've been giving you a lot of airtime there, Wayne.
I know, he
man.
gives me a ton of airtime.
It was
I don't
funny.
mind.
You're the first. You're always the first. I mean, if I have to have a guest co-host, you're always the first one I ask. So
We're gonna have to get Nigel on. Get Nigel around. Get Nigel. He'll get all feisty with you, won't he?
James Quinlan's in here from Knoxville Hammers. We've had him on the show as a guest. That was awesome. And it wasn't him. Who said Gary Smithhurst? We definitely need. Okay, never mind. Gary Smithhurst says McAvenny for him. He also says Paris always gives 100%. Talking about Paris. And then James was like Carlton Cole for him. And Gary Smithhurst actually says he met Stuart Slater a few weeks back. That's funny. Ben Davis says John Moncourt always got stuck in and always got booked, of course. And Tebow, who's been a frequent viewer of ours, says Antonio is his favorite player. And
I like that lad.
Yeah. I think he's a viewer of everybody. He's always he loves his West Ham media.
I think so too. Yeah, but we love seeing that. So basically, Gonzo, sorry to interrupt this whole thing, but yeah, we like to do that somewhere a little after halftime.
No. You got
the guys that are in there.
You got to hear from your audience. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's that. Thank you guys for following us and watching. I really appreciate that. All right. So going forward, I'm so sick of the fucking rumors, man. I really am. But what are your thoughts now on who we're linked to now for the most important position besides a box-to-box midfielder, in my opinion, would be a striker?
Well, okay.
So frustrating.
About 2 months ago, on a cup of tea, I mentioned a striker called Sebastian Haller. And the reason I mentioned him is because a friend of ours on the forum who's been down to games with us, and a good friend of ours, Tim, said that he was somebody that we should look at. So I looked at some videos on him, and I thought he was brilliant. Him and a guy called Paulson. And I said it on a cup of tea. I've said it numerous times. I see he's been linked today. Just now, just literally before we came on.
I just saw that on my news feed.
Yeah. So just before, we were talking about it about 2 months ago. So just in case anybody claims anything, it was Tim on the forum about 2 months ago who scouted him. So I'm sure someone for Frankfurt scouted him first. But yeah, so he looks really exciting, and he is the best one I've seen so far.
What's his age? You know how old he is?
No, he's not. He's not old though. He's not old. He's massive. I mean, he is massive. He's about.
His club didn't get relegated just this season. No.
Did Frankfurt? No, Frankfurt.
No. That seems to be what we're looking for, though. You know what I mean? God.
No, he's a good player. He's sort of like £200 or something like that.
He's a big boy.
He is a big boy. 6'4", £200. But he's very skillful, very, very good. I don't believe a lot of this stuff, Tim. You can't read too much into it. I don't mean that rumor in particular. I still think this Maxi Gomez thing has got a lot of legs on it. Can run and run. There was a similar tactic with Felipe Anderson last season.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that Arsenal are in. I don't necessarily believe Tottenham are in. I can't imagine that Tottenham are going to suddenly go from spending no money in 2 transfer windows to spending 45 million for a player to go on the bench. That doesn't make any sense at all. And
it doesn't.
Gio did mention that Lacazette might be off to Atletico Madrid. I don't know about that, but if he's not, again, I can't imagine Arsenal. Why would he go to Arsenal with Lacazette and Aubameyang there? Can't see that myself. So I still think we possibly are in the running for that guy. And what I would suggest is, I also think Pellegrini is not silly. He's not silly at all. So
yeah.
These people would have been approached long before now. Pellegrini would have had a chat with his agent. All this stuff goes on. It's not meant to, but it all goes on. I would imagine whoever we're going to get probably knows they're coming already.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
it's just God, social media, it gets crazy, and I'm just so sick of
We have to
hearing
take
all.
it with a pinch of
But you know,
salt as well.
but
It's
the point
tough
is,
until
too,
the last couple of
you
weeks.
think
You
about
kind of have to like watch but not watch.
you think about what the club needs, though, and then you think about the reaction of these people. I'm not saying that
So
whether
yeah,
we're going to.
what don't you like, Tim? You say about rumors and your head goes into your hands and social media. What's annoying you about it?
It's not the fact that we're linked to somebody, whether or not I like them or not. It's the fact that looking at what the club needs and whether we get him or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is what the club is supposedly looking at. Obviously, we trust the manager. I trust the manager. I think he did a fantastic job in his first season with us, and I trust that he's going to make the right decision going forward between him and Huselos. If that guy does anything, I feel that yes, I trust that whatever they pick will be great. But looking at what we're linked to, for the most part, has been garbage.
Yes.
I mean, and that's what's most frustrating. And then seeing the reactions of a lot of the fans saying, "Well, that's all we can get. We should be very happy to get Mitrovic from a relegated club who only scored 11 goals, which is only one more than what our top scorer scores. Our top scorer scored, and that's frustrating to me. I frustrated that looking at like if we're linked to them, there's got to be not necessarily some truth to it, but there could have been a mention, or not necessarily. It might be like really into signing them. It might not be really close, but if they even looked at Mitrovic, that's not going in the right direction to me. You know what
Or
I
it
mean?
could
Like,
be just some sports writer that's just got up out of bed this morning and his sports editor has said to him, "We need a story about West Ham today."
No,
And he's going, "Oh."
I know it's quite clear that the club have been briefing people on that Mitrovic, Rondon, Marega, and
Yeah.
Gomez. I know that for a fact. The club have been briefing people on that. The only question is, and this is absolutely true. I did a little video last week from my van, and I just entitled it "Striker Update," and it the information had come hot off the press from the club, and they were very briefing everybody that these four strikers, they were between 5 and 10% chance of signing each and every one of them, and it come from a top place in the club. Now, what we have to decide is, are they feeding that on purpose? The cynic in me thinks that they are, because I would imagine our media was so bad, and I'm talking primarily about Sullivan here. Our media was so bad in terms of leaking players before Pellegrini came in. I'd be amazed if one of the conditions of Pellegrini signing wasn't just about bringing in direct football. It was actually, you've got to shut up, and these leaks have got to stop. So I think whilst the club have an open line to Claret and Hugh, for instance, and I think that works for both parties, particularly when it's about ticketing or when there's logistical stuff that the trains won't be running for this day, or the carpet will be laid on this day. I think for stuff like that, the club are happy to leak that sort of stuff. I think when it comes to transfers, I think it's stopped. And I said this to Gio last night. You look at actually what happened last season, and if you actually do a forensic examination of when we signed a player and who was the first to leak the information, I think you'll find that they did a pretty damn good job of keeping it a secret.
Yeah,
gone are the days. I mean, for instance, if you remember when we signed Dimitri Payet, I think ex-West Ham employee knew it. I mean, 2 months before. I mean, again, you can forensically follow the lineage of it. It's 2 months before. You look at our recent stuff. Stuff is not getting leaked. So, and now we're at a case where we're naming so many players that you throw enough stuff at the wall, something's going to stick. But actually, those days of saying we are signing this player, that's our main target, and that's who we're getting. I think the club have closed ranks. So I wouldn't be surprised if we were surprised, if you know what I mean, and who we get. And actually, it's someone left field, and we just find out he's flying over for a medical tomorrow.
Well, so far I hope so, because what we've been linked to so far really was not going in the direction that the club said that we would be going in since we left Upton Park. I give them the benefit of the doubt for the first year or two, or even 3. But at least year 3, it looked like, okay, well, they're making the right decisions in management. Now they're making the right decisions in some of the players that they signed, and it panned out that yes, Fabianski was a great signing, and yes, Felipe Anderson was a very good signing, and so on. So it looks like we're starting to go in the right direction. Now, why the hell would we go backwards? So that's my worry. I understand that there's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of money unless we sell players, etc. I'm not worried about the transfer budget. I'm worried about, the people that we're going to be signing going forward. Not taking a step back by signing a bunch of relegated or players on teams who are in relegation battles like Gomez. So I don't know. That's just my rant about that.
I don't think we need to worry too much. I really don't. I mean, I'm from the frame of mind that, yeah, and this is just me talking here, is that my worrying about it's not going to bloody fix anything. I think there are going to be people out there that are always going to be spouting off as to what they think's happening. I think some of it is what you were saying, Gonzo, about the fact that in the past there were a lot of people that did have an inside line into it. I think a lot of those people now that they don't have an inside line are feeling really pissed about that. And I think a lot of them are spouting off because they want people to still think that they've got an inside line. So they're just blowing their horn with the hopes that maybe they're going to hit on the right target.
Yeah.
So they can turn around at the beginning of the season and say, "See, I called this one out." I think some of that is going down. Plus, the British press has always been bloody brutal. It's always been brutal. And I think some of that has got to go down with it too. Let's face it, whatever happens, come August, we're going to be screaming for them, even if we've got the worst bloody bunch of idiots out on the field ever.
Yeah, but I also think we're in a position whereby we're not good enough to get top 6, and we're not bad enough to get relegated. So we are in that little zone there where we are competing with a whole host of other clubs there. Leicester and so on and so forth. So we're going to fight it out. And I think with that in mind, we're not signing Griezmann or anybody like that. So we are looking for another Balbuena.
But listen, what about Joshua King, man? You know what I mean? We were linked with him in January, and then all of a sudden that fizzled out because we never ended up getting rid of Arnautovic. That's a player who's on a team who wasn't relegated, who's at a lateral level from us, roughly. At least it's not. I know it's Bournemouth and all, but the guy's an international. He's still 27 years old.
Oh, you mean Callum Wilson?
No, we were linked with Joshua King. I'm not joking.
Well, he doesn't score any goals apart from penalties. We didn't want him.
Oh, he's a big man. He's a target man. I do feel that he would be fantastic. Yes, Callum Wilson. I'd take him too. But we were linked. My point is, we were linked to Joshua. I would like to see us linked to him instead of a Mitrovic or instead of someone from a shit team.
Well, I think we will bring an English player in, though, because obviously we've got the numbers to look after.
That's true. Yeah.
But I expect a South American punt, and I do choose my words carefully.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Well, listen, man. I really do appreciate you coming on today, especially on short notice. Yeah, that was really fantastic. Gio's. I asked him a while ago. You think Gonzo would come on, and I know you took a little hiatus from social media for a little while too, and you went
it eats up so much. It eats up so much of your time, guys. This stuff, and I thank you so much, and you're lovely guys, and it's very relaxed, and it's you'll do ever so well. You really will. But this stuff is time consuming, and I think I just found myself what with social media and all the other West Ham stuff that's out there. Actually, you can find yourself eating 2 hours of your day every day. So it was a case of So and that's and believe it or not, I've stopped doing that. And hey presto, the lounge has got decorated. So grey. Everything's grey and white. Everything's grey. Just grey. Everything. Grey is in at the moment, but you know what? It beats Magnolia, which was previously Magnolia and brown before. Sounds disgusting, doesn't it? So grey and white. So I've been liberated by the lack of social media, and you know what? The other thing is, it keeps you fresh for doing this sort of stuff. So when you do jump on the video, then you're more interested to talk about it, because you've not been. It's like poor old Tim there, social media and the strikers and all the rest of it. You don't get dragged down by all that horrible stuff that goes on there. But listen, fellas, it's been really nice, really nice. Thank you for having me on.
It really has been a pleasure, mate. Really has.
And Charlie and Tom, we've had on to do a match preview with us. We haven't interviewed him yet, but we're going to do that soon. And Gio, listen, you've all been such just very nice guests and very helpful for us. I've asked Gio multiple questions about just, the whole YouTube thing, and he's been very helpful with me. So, and thanks for the invite to the 24-hour live stream, and you guys have been nothing but awesome. And I hope this relationship continues.
No,
So,
it absolutely will, and the very, very best of luck with you. And if there's anything we can do, you know that anyway. And now you've got a direct line to me. Sorry, I've not been on there. Now you've got a direct line anytime.
I appreciate that. All right, well, thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it, Gonzo.
Wayne,
cheers, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate that on short notice as well. And our next show is tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah. Tomorrow we have story time with Gary Perridge. I've been looking forward to this so much. Gary,
I thought today's Thursday.
Is it Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. Stop it.
It might be Thursday in the States. I don't know how the time zone works. It's Monday in the UK.
I'm going to switch back to the Jack Daniels in the coffee. That's for definite.
Gary's from Holy City Hammers. We had him on one time as a guest from a supporters group, Holy City Hammers in Charleston, South Carolina, and he was fantastic. But then, as soon as we stopped recording, he told us 3 of the most craziest stories ever, West Ham related, and we were like, "Shit, we need to have you back on now." So we had him back on, and then we bring him back on, and he comes with a list, literally, of 18 different stories that he wants to tell. And I'm like, "Oh man, we only have an hour, so I know what we can do. We could put a robe on you and get a pipe and put you in a chair in front of a fireplace and have story time with Gary Perridge and make this an ongoing thing." So we are going to make it an ongoing
original concepts. That's the other thing. You've done it. That's the other thing you've got to do at YouTube. Do something original. I like story time, pipe and slippers. And as I said earlier, it's that stuff when you stop recording, sometimes you think, that's the good stuff. So well done. Well done for harnessing it. I'm going to watch story time.
Story time with Gary Perridge tomorrow at it's at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so that's a little late for you, but you'll probably catch it Friday. And then on Sunday we have Los Angeles Hammers. We've been trying to get them on since our day one, and I'm so thankful that they've decided to come on so we can talk about the Los Angeles Hammers, man. That's one of the they got a decent sized group over there. And then on Monday of next week we have
none of them as big as the Dallas Hammers.
I know. Yeah, I know. And then lastly, we have next Monday, we're going to have another season review with 8 to 10 other guests that we've had on in the past, but did not have on the last season review that we did. So we want everyone that we've had on from America to have their voice heard about their season review. All right, so it should be fun. Last time it worked very good. We were able to get people to roughly 5 minutes apiece, and except for Wayne. And Kevin.
So I took a little bit late. It's only because Kevin took like 8 or 10 minutes, so I felt like I should take 8 or 10 minutes as well.
But other than that, it worked out awesome. And we got to meet Nigel too. Nigel is Wayne's alter ego. That was fantastic. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.